Hello everybody and welcome to Parks Bros. It's Drew here, and we have another West Coast Racers construction update. Thanks to a couple of people, actually. We've got a couple anonymous viewers, as well as our good friend Mark, once we get inside the park. But you can see that they were putting the supports onto flatbeds to take them over to the construction site. So we finally have supports and track hopefully being taken over to be put up as vertical pieces within the next couple days or so. They are not vertical yet with the project, at least with supports, but hopefully that will change within the next couple days because they have gotten a lot of pieces over there. It's pretty much just in order for the ride to go vertical. But here you can see a lot more track coming in and a lot more of the thicker spine track as well, specifically with the yellow side. So that's kind of interesting to see that the yellow side is coming in a lot more prominently than the silver or white side. Actually, I have a question for you guys. Do you consider that track white or silver? Just a question. I'll put a poll up in the top right corner. But it's looking pretty great in all honesty. It's nice to see all these pieces of track showing up, and a lot of them have some very interesting connectors to the supports. You can see this giant white one right here has the most interesting support connector spots in all honesty, but that's gotta be for the spaghetti bowl section of the ride. I couldn't see it going anywhere else in all honesty. Besides potentially a inversion, but I don't see it being that. Actually, it definitely could be for the Top Gun stall. Maybe we'll have to keep an eye on that because those footers are finished and it might be going vertical soon there. So we will just have to wait and see with that. Here is just some more launch track. The straight track that you can see in this shot is going to be launch track most likely. They have the room for the stators, which are those white fins that actually hold the electromagnets. So it's very cool to see those without the LSMs on right now. Those have been put on in the back section of the backstage area. Those are where the drive tires as well as the stators for the launch track have been put on to the pieces of track that need it. So hopefully we will see more of that later on in this video. You can actually see it in plain sight from the park. It's kind of funny, but a lot of these pieces of track are looking fantastic. You can even see that some of the actual connectors from the spines to the rails are very much different between separate pieces of track. Like here you can see they're pretty thin on this piece of track except for after that cutoff line where the support connector is. So it's very interesting to see which parts of the track will have more forces put on them. And here we are back into the park itself. This is thanks to Mark. And this is actually the Flash Bash entrance or the exit to Riddler's Revenge. And you can just see them putting in drive tires, just installing drive tires back there. And there's a good maybe 10 plus pieces of track just for the purpose of getting drive tires put onto them. So it's very interesting to see that just kind of out in the open, really. So I really don't know why they're going into this spot in specific, because it is under Riddler's Revenge. I kind of feel bad for the workers there because they will have to deal with the loudness of Riddlers all day long. But I think it's great that we're finally getting drive tires on track, and that means that once this starts going vertical, it's going to be super quick with how everything will go up in a really rapid pace. And I just think that's going to be great for us to see, because I know we've been waiting for a long time to see this thing go vertical, but I think once it goes vertical, it's going to be pretty quick if we can get, of course, all of the track in the next week. But here you can see the footers are finally being poured for the spaghetti bowl section, and that looks to be where the two inversions, those two corkscrews, two zero-G rolls right next to each other will be right before they go over the go-kart track. And then the go-kart track is still getting some places for footers filled with the cylinder pieces of rebar. So, and those are pretty freaking massive, if I do say so myself. You can see another shot in just a second of how massive these cylinders are, just of straight rebar that they're putting into the ground. I think it's really just for earthquake purposes, but they're massive. But it's great to see that these footers are finally being filled, and here's the piece of rebar I was talking about. That's a good 30 feet tall or so. I really don't know just how big it could potentially be. But they are still taking some stuff out of the ground, as well as deconstructing some fence work. And here you can actually see they are starting to go vertical with concrete for what we think will be the maintenance shed, but we're not entirely sure on that one. It's just in a really awkward spot. We're thinking it's for maintenance, but I don't know what else it could be, in all honesty. So I'm just thinking that it would be nice to see this piece go vertical very soon, just like it will be. And hopefully we just see the coaster vertical in the next week alone anyways, just because I think it's about that time. But here is just a little basket, really, for workers to be able to connect pieces of track to the supports, just because it's going to be really hard for them to reach certain pieces of the track, especially in that spaghetti bowl section. It's going to be really hard to try and navigate that with just being attached to the track. So they're going to have to be in that basket. But let's go on to another piece of info from some of our anonymous viewers, and this is quite interesting. They have put stators on some pieces of the track. So some of the launch tracks are actually almost done. They do need the electrical boxes, I think, attached to them, but it's very nice to see that we have stators on pieces of track. So hopefully this means that once they can go vertical, it will go a lot quicker than we would expect. But we'll just have to wait and see for that, because we still haven't even seen it go vertical yet. I think give it another week at least until we really see some progress with it going vertical. It wouldn't surprise me if the first pieces of supports are going to be up in the next 2 days or so, but I would suspect give it another week before we have at least some track going in. But speaking of track going in, this is from another anonymous viewer, and this is looking to be the first piece of track put in. At least that's what they were trying to say, because it is actually the closest to the project site. You can see Apocalypse in the background there, but that's supposedly going to be the first piece of track that will be put in the future. So we'll just have to wait and see, though. So make sure to stay tuned here to Parks Bros and subscribe if you have not, because we will have tons of West Coast Racers updates in the future. And until this thing opens, whether it's in July, August, September, or even October, we will definitely have as many updates as possible on this thing. And I can't wait to see what this ride could bring to the park. I'm really excited for it. But thank you so much for watching. Thanks again to the anonymous viewers, as well as Mark, for getting this footage for us. It really means the world. And of course, as always, we'll see you on the next ride.